drums get loud and the truth gets twisted. One voice cuts through the noise, hard-hitting, controversial. But rooted in common sense, faith and values first. The Friday verdict. The Friday verdict. Bold conversations, kingdom impact.
All right. Welcome to the Friday Verdict. I'm your host, Keith Wysong. Thank you for tuning in. I'm grateful and thankful that you've taken some time to listen to this poor little old podcast. We're a startup podcast and just been doing this for a little over a month and just wanting to have a little bit of fun, but also wanting to address and talk about some topics that I think maybe not getting enough traction in society, or maybe we're being misinformed by society. Maybe there's some issues that's going on in the world, and I think we need to bring some clarity around it. And we'll come from a conservative approach. We'll come from a just common sense approach as well. And there won't be any one topic that we spend more time on than any other topic. We'll be all over the place. We'll talk sports, any sport, all sports. We'll talk religion at times, politics, current events. I mean, we'll be all over the place, whatever I think is relevant and worth discussing that I think you'll be interested in, that we can bring some attention and can bring some help and understanding to, then that's what we'll do. And I trust that you'll enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, then we ask that you give us the thumbs up on our YouTube channel page, and then share it with others, tell others to watch and give the thumbs up and then subscribe to our channel. That's how we build the platform. That's how we build the channel. And again, it's just to have fun, but it's also to help people to bring some clarity and some understanding to topics and issues that I think maybe society as a whole, or maybe the world is really not addressing the right way. And we'll see if we can shed some light on some areas. And so that's what we'll be doing. And so I appreciate you tuning in today and being a part of this podcast. But before we get into this week's episode, I want to thank our sponsor in Dyersburg, Tennessee. It's Brassfield's Body Shop. It's a family-owned business and has been around and family-owned for over 54 years. And they have state-of-the-art equipment, state-of-the-art facilities. They'll give you a free estimate. They've got 24-hour towing, and they do a good job. They're good people. That family's a good family. And I encourage you that if you need some body work done on your car or your truck or your vehicle, to reach out to the Brassfields. They'll be more than happy to take care of you, and you won't be disappointed at all. All right. Well, let's get into the podcast and the episode today. So we're going to discuss the truth and give you some truth around the Jewish people and around Israel. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of misunderstanding, and a lot of confusion around the Jews, around Israel. I think there's some misconceptions around the Jews and around Israel. There is so much, to be honest, there's just so much anti-Semitism in our nation, unfortunately, but as well as around the world. And we have certain people in certain corners of the internet that blame the Jewish people in Israel for everything that's wrong in society. They get blamed for anything and everything. And I guess it just becomes easy and people jump on, the bandwagon. And so it's Jew. They're bad. And so they get blamed for everything. And you have podcasters and influencers running around blaming everything on the Jews. Charlie Kirk's death on the Jews. Trump's assassin on the Jews. I mean, everything is being blamed on the Jews. And we're making the we're demonizing the Jewish people, which is a contradiction of terms to me. But that's what's happening. And I want to kind of bring some light on the partnership and the alliance between the United States and Israel. We do have a very strategic alliance with them, but and they're good people. The Jewish people have contributed a lot to society. It was Jewish scientists that came up with the antibiotic to cure tuberculosis and killed 1 billion people. And they're the ones that came up with the antibiotic. So they've contributed, and they contribute to society. CPR, the MRI machine, Jewish scientists created that, saved 50 million lives in the last 50 years. So, the Jewish people are precious people. They're good people. They're smart people. They're generous people. And so, they've contributed a lot to society. But yet there's so many out there that hate them. There's so much anti-Semitism in society. And when you look at it, you ask the question, why? They are 0.2% of the population. They're a tiny percent of the world's population, but yet they're getting blamed on all the issues of the world. And I tell you know why that is. There's no other answer except it is a spiritual war. That's why. It's straight from the pits of hell. It's straight from the bedroom of Satan. That's all there is to it. There's no other explanation for a 0.2% of the population to be hated and to be despised and to be blamed for everything that's wrong in the world when it's just 0.2%. So I'm just telling you it is a religious thing. It's a spiritual thing. And if you're not religious or spiritual, just hang on. We're not going to continue along those lines. But I'm just being honest with you. The Jewish people are precious people. They're good people. They don't control America. And I know I've heard that so much as Benjamin Netanyahu and the Jewish people control Trump and they control America. And they don't. We've got a very good strategic alliance and partnership and friendship with Israel and with the Jewish people. And I think that's smart because they're in the Middle East. And the Middle East is a dark place. You got terrorism that runs wild. You got groups like Hamas that come together and they train to kill. You have so much hate. There's no one in the Middle East that's our friend except Israel. So it just makes sense that you would have Israel as an ally, in which we have. We have for decades. We've had them as a friend, as partners, as an alliance that's come together to keep stability in the Middle East. They share similar democratic values, and in an area where there's dictators, and in an area where there's terror and terrorist groups, they share our values. They cooperate with us militarily. We share intelligence. Matter of fact, they shared intelligence with us as of recent, in the last month, 2 months, weeks, whatever it may have been. Then they shared the intelligence of the Iranian assassin that was coming to America to kill his daughter, Trump's daughter, and to kill him. They shared that information. They had it. Israel did. And so they shared it with us and to protect Trump. So we have an alliance. We have a partnership with them. And we do give them, $3.8 billion in money every year to help them with their military, to provide them support. But then they turn around with that money and they buy the U.S.-made planes and ships and everything else they need. They buy their military equipment from us. And we want them to be, head and shoulders above everyone else in the Middle East, so that they can be stronger and provide that stability in the Middle East that is necessary, and then they can help us with the military, with wars, and taking care of groups and powers over there that want to harm America as well as harm our allies. And so, when I see people running around blaming the Jews and blaming Israel and just everything wrong with the Jews, I'm telling you, they're under a spell, because it is a spiritual issue. There is no reason to blame 0.2% of the population for everything wrong. Everything that goes wrong, it's Jews. And I know a lot of times they say, well, they're influencing our elections. They're influencing this in America. And then AIPAC, my goodness, you hear someone talk about AIPAC, as if the AIPAC is the only lobbying group. The only lobbyists in the world is AIPAC. And that's just not the case. AIPAC is an American-based, is Jewish or Israeli group that lobbyists, that lobbies for their interest. But listen, every other nation and country, even in the Middle East, they do the same thing in America. China, they have lobbyists, not China, but they partner with these legal advocacy groups that will share their interests, or they'll pay to share their interests so that they can lobby for them. They lobby basically around trade. They want the trade to be beneficial to them so that they can control, the world's trade. And they want to control the semiconductors. And so they have lobbyist groups and advocacy groups that lobby for them. And you can look not only China, but the Saudis. Wow. The Saudis give significant sums of money towards lobbying firms to push their agenda, their interests in Washington. It's not just AIPAC. It's not just Israel. It's just the way Washington works. I don't like it. I wish it was different. I wish we didn't have any foreign influence whatsoever in our elections or in our policy making. But it's just not the way it is. But don't blame Israel and don't blame the Jewish people for being so terrible because they do it. Everyone does it. The United Arab Emirates, they do it. Turkey does it. Qatar does it. Japan, South Korea, the UK, they all have advocacy groups and lobbying firms that share their interests, but they all have them in America, in Washington. So you've been lied to by podcasters like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson that is blaming everything on Jewish people. They didn't feel that way in the recent past. They didn't. They started getting paid by someone who's an adversary of Israel, and you can pick and choose who you think that is. It's one of the groups in one of the places I just mentioned. And the DOJ is actively looking into that. But that's where that comes from. You don't turn on a dime and do a 180 like they have and then become anti-Semitic towards the Jewish people just like that, unless someone's paying you to do so and trying to get you to influence the news in America by spouting off some of the garbage that they're spouting off on. That's just, it's anti-Semitism. And I know people that, they say, oh, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. Not me. I'm not anti-Semitic. But no. As soon as you say but, everything you said prior is erased. And the only thing that really matters to you is what you said afterwards. But I've got people to say it all the time. I'm not anti-Semitic, but just stop. Yes, you are. You are. And we have to be careful. I just think we've got to be careful. There's a lot of people that's running around blaming the Jews for everything. And they'll look at AIPAC and think AIPAC's the only lobbying group that's foreign that's in America, but it's just not the case. It's just not the case. And so, we've got to make sure we educate ourselves, make sure we inform ourselves. And that's what I'm here for, help you with that. And others will think that they control us maybe, or that we have a close relationship with them. It's not control. It's a partnership, and we share religious and cultural values. See, the evangelicals especially support Israel. We support them, and it's driven. Our support is driven not because they're influencing us. Our support is driven because we feel as if they're God's people and that they are operating as God's people according to Scripture. And so then we honor that. So it's the evangelical voters that's supporting based upon their beliefs, not Israel trying to influence and pressure the evangelicals to vote a certain way or to believe a certain way. So we just do it because that's what we believe. And one might say, well, you blindly believe, or you're wrong in your belief or your support. Well, you can have that belief and that theory, but I truly believe that we are on the right side of history when we support and when we align ourselves with Israel and with the Jewish people. Military, geopolitics, interests. We are in agreement and in alliance with them on that. They help us counter hostile groups in the Middle East. That's why we give them what we give them, to help in the countering of these hostile groups and governments that want to harm us and harm our way of life. That we help them maintain regional stability in the Middle East, because without them, there would be no regional stability. The Middle East is a terrorist group's haven. That's where they operate out of, is a lot of those countries that surround Israel. And so they help bring regional support and stability there. These are just common sense reasons why we support Israel. They're not pressuring us to. It's just that a strategic alliance, that makes sense. Take the spiritual piece out of it, take the biblical, the Christian aspect out of it, and it just makes sense to align ourselves with them. And we share intelligence with one another. And, their missile defense system, they share their intelligence with us on that. So it's a good partnership, and it's been that way for decades. I think sometimes, people saying they control us, and they're spouting off about the control that Benjamin Netanyahu has over Trump. Or, first of all, Trump's never been afraid to call out or to publicly condemn someone, and he did Benjamin not too long ago. So they don't control him. They don't control America. I think it's a lack of understanding a lot of times from people. They just don't understand foreign policy and how it operates and how it works. And so they immediately jump on a bandwagon of just blame Israel and the Jews, and they're pressuring us, they're influencing us, they're controlling us. No, it's a partnership. We need them because they are in a strategic place in the Middle East where we need someone there, we need a partner there, we need a friend there, and they've been a friend for years. There's anti-Semitic tropes running around, and conspiracy theories and theorists. A lot of the reason why people believe the Jewish people are a problem and that Israel is a problem is because of all those conspiracy theories that are out there, that people just love a conspiracy theory. And listen, I'm down for a good conspiracy theory myself, but I don't want it when it hurts people and it damages people and relationships and alliances, that is borderline, being anti-Semitic. If it's not, it borders being an anti-Semitic. And I think, we go wrong and we have issues when we go that direction. We have a strong alliance with them, military-wise. As I mentioned, we give them $3.8 billion, a year in military aid, and they turn around and spend it on American-made weapons. The U.S. wants Israel to have an edge in the Middle East. Israel shares intelligence around missile defense systems. The UN, the United States blocks or vetoes at times, resolutions that are critical of Israel that the UN has proposed, and we veto it so that there's not a resolution. We want to keep Israel strong. We want to keep Israel relevant, and so that's why we have this partnership. That's why you see Israel and America partnering, and we're doing things for them, and in their corner and supporting, is because it's necessary to keep peace in the Middle East. And but we've disagreed with them in years past. And we disagreed as a nation with them when they were trying to expand their settlement in the West Bank. We agreed with them, and we made that known to them. 2016, the U.S. abstained from a UN resolution. Instead of vetoing like we oftentimes do, we abstained from it and didn't say anything when the UN was condemning them for trying again to expand their settlement and their territory. George H.W. Bush in 1991 delayed $10 billion in loan guarantees to Israel until they stopped their expansion settlement activity. Disagreed with them. 1956, the U.S. along with UK, France, and they found forced Israel, to withdraw from Egypt when it had invaded Egypt. So there's been times, arms sales. We didn't like the way they were using the arms in Gaza, and so we again delayed and withdrew some support, and so they don't control us. We do operate on our own. We are big boys in America, but we do try to nourish and protect that alliance, and we do work with them, and we'll continue to do so. So, listen, the Jewish people are not your problem. The Jewish people, Israel, is not the problem. The problem is Islam. I shared, a few episodes ago about Islam, but I'm going to say a little bit more today. When you got people running around saying, Jewish people are bad, Jewish people are bad, Jewish people are bad, Jewish people, Israel, they should be saying Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam is the biggest threat to America. They are trying to take over America like they have Europe. They have strategically invaded our country in certain cities and areas and territories because ultimately they want to bring, as they say, death to the West, death to America. They want to bring their Sharia law to America, and it has nothing to do with our Constitution. It has no place in America. The Sharia law and Islam has no place in America. None whatsoever. They think we are infidels, and they believe infidels should die. They don't assimilate. They've never assimilated in any nation that they've ever migrated to. They come over here and they, squat down, kneel down in the middle of our intersections and pray to Allah. They don't assimilate. But yet we want to say, Jew, Israel, Israel's the problem. Jewish people, do you understand? Israel have their synagogues, and they've been around for a long time in America, and we have millions of them here. They assimilate, and they're peaceful people, and they cause us no problem. But Islam and the Muslims are trying to change our culture and our way of life. I would think that I went to another nation, it's because I love what they're doing and I didn't like what I see here and I want to go be a part of it. That's not how they do it. They go to destroy, to tear it down. That's it. And I know some will say, well, there's peaceful Muslims. No, there's not. That is smoke and mirrors. That's not true. Because their holy book, that holy book of theirs, tells them that we need to die. And they may be quiet about it, but when that great holy war takes place, we'll see where their allegiance is. Muslims is a religion that is a death cult. It's a death cult. They convert by coercion. They convert by threats. Either you do or you die. That's how Muslims are. And again, we run around here and we have people run around blaming the Jews for everything under the sun, blaming Israel. All the attention's on Israel. I tell you what, if Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Nick and some of these other people would just wake up and get their head out of the sand and stop blaming Israel and pay attention to what the Muslims and what Islam is trying to do in building their own little cities and passing their Sharia law in our countries and our neighborhoods. I think we could stop some of this evil that is invading our land if people would wake up and stop worrying about their pocketbook, because that's what podcasters and influencers do. They just base what they believe on what the person paying them wants them to. But we've got to wake up. America's been invaded by a religion that has destroyed Europe. Nowhere where they have ever gone do they do good. They don't. They just don't. And yet we have people want to run around blaming Israel, blaming the Jews. Jewish people are not our problem. Jewish people are not our problem. Our problem is Islam and Muslim. And when you have people focusing on Israel and the Jewish people, I'm telling you, there's something behind it. They're either uninformed or they're getting paid to say what they're saying, because you cannot, and nobody can sit back and look at our country and say that the biggest threat is Jews. The Jews have been here for years and they've never caused us any problems. They're generous people. They're good people. They go to their synagogues. They do their thing, and they assimilate to our culture. Muslims and Islam does not. Does not. They don't. And so again, there you have it. Listen. I'm a Christian, as you know it. I love Jesus. I've given my life to him. I serve him, and I do everything I can to do what he wants me to do. And I try to follow his word to the best of my ability. I have failed in my life at times. I have fallen short at times. I've made mistakes. But I tell you this, it'll never be a mistake to support Israel, the Jewish people, which Jesus was a Jew. His heritage was Jewish. That is his people. That they are his people. You'll never go wrong supporting them and aligning yourself with them, which is what we've done for years. And the only time we really haven't is when you have a Muslim president. It's the only time we have it. Instead, we send cash on a pallet to terrorist nations. Yeah. All right. There you have it. Again, if you like what you hear, and even if you don't like what you hear, you just need to chew the meat a little bit. Just chew the meat, digest it. It'll come around. It's an acquired taste maybe for you, but chew the meat. No, if you like what you hear, we ask that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Help us build a platform. We're just here to bring just your Friday drive. So when we talk about the Friday drive, who's guilty? The guilty ones today, who's guilty? I'll tell you who's guilty. It's the podcasters, the influencers, and all those running around blaming Israel and the Jewish people for all their wrongs, all their ills, all their problems, all their issues. It's almost a generational thing. We got a generation that, they can't take their face away from a screen. They don't want to get married. They want to have babies. They don't own anything. And they blame everything on Jewish people and on Israel. They're depressed. They're full of anxiety and stress, and they can't they can't operate in society, and it's all the Jewish people's fault. I'm just here to tell you it's not. It's not. So, anyway, if you like what you hear, like, share, and subscribe. I also want to thank our other sponsor, Elite Auto Service in Union City, Tennessee. They have been around, that business there has been around a couple of years in Union City, but the owner has over 30 years in the industry, and he's a good man. I consider him a friend, and he'll do you right. You need any work done under the hood of that car, any work done on tires, need some tires, give Chris Robertson, the owner of Elite Auto Service, give him a call and let him know. He will take care of you, promise you that. You won't be disappointed in getting a hold of Chris at Elite Auto Service in Union City, Tennessee, and let him know that the Friday verdict sent you. All right. Trust that you enjoyed it today. And until next time, God bless, and don't be a wackadoodle.